(1:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Soundithavam. The present rainy weather condition is expected to improve. Relief measures continue for affected people. Over 7,000 dengue patients have been identified so far this year. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation distributes sacks of vegetables to people affected due to the pandemic and floods. In news overseas, China lands its Zhurong rover on Mars. And in sports, it's cricket. The Sri Lanka team will leave to Bangladesh tomorrow for 3 one-day international series. The district secretaries say that the minor flood situation in the Colombo and Gampaha districts due to heavy rains is receding at present. The Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratne said that 10,826 people belonging to 2,650 families in the district have been displaced. 4 welfare centres have been set up in Colombo, Kaduwela, Sitawaka and the Kolanawa areas by the district secretariat. He said that there are 2,203 people staying at those centres. 15,000 people have been displaced in the Gampaha district. The Gampaha District Secretary Sunil Jalat said that their basic needs have been met. The Director of the Disaster Management Centre, SLBC Sugishwara, said that the minor flood situation due to the rising water levels of the Attanagalu Oya and Kalani River is decreasing. He said a flood situation has occurred in the upper areas of the Ginganga and Nilvala rivers. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Air Force, issuing a statement, said it is on standby for rescue missions if needed in the wake of a disaster. The Director of the National Dengue Prevention Unit, Dr. Aruna Jayasekara, said that 7,300 dengue patients have been identified so far this year. He said that the highest number of dengue patients have been reported from the Colombo and Batticaloa districts. Dr. Jayasekara said that dengue prevention activities will take place while giving priority for COVID control programs. He requested the public to support the program by keeping their environment clean. The news division of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation is distributing 1,000 kilograms of vegetables to people affected by COVID-19, heavy rains and those in isolated areas. It is being implemented on a concept of the Director General of the SLBC, Chandrapala Liyanage. The commercial bank is sponsoring the program. The vegetable sacks will be distributed today among low-income recipient families in isolated areas, people affected by heavy rains and families under quarantine. Speaking on the occasion, the Chief Executive Officer of the Commercial Bank, Sanath Manatunga, said that the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation is rendering an excellent service on behalf of the affected people. Therefore, he said the Commercial Bank joined the SLBC Social Service Program. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Attorney General, in a letter to the Inspector General of Police, has sought confirmation on evidence against 42 suspects in Category A of the Easter Sunday terror attacks. His coordinating officer, State Counsel Nishara Jayaratne, said that the Attorney General has sought clarification on any pending investigations. He has also pointed out that probes into 5 of the suspects are incomplete. That's local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Minister of Health, Pavitra Vanyarachi, said the vaccination program will be expanded to the Kandy, Kurunegala and Ratnapura districts after concluding the process in the Western Province. She said people in selected MOH areas of the 3 districts will be administered COVID jabs. The Health Minister said 1.1 million people in the Western Province have been vaccinated against the novel coronavirus so far. She said the government intends to vaccinate 13 million people in order to prevent this virus from spreading across the country, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhaleba.
Moving on to Watchlight, people in the area say that the wild elephant, which was in a serious condition for 4 days near the Parakrama Samudra in Polonnaruwa Bandiveva Mahaoya area, is now in a very critical condition. They said that although the wildlife officials were informed about the wild elephant, they did not arrive at the place. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to a bulletin of world news in the headlines. China lands its Zhurong rover on Mars. Russia picks 4 people for first movie to be shot in outer space. Israel-Gaza violence. US envoy arrives for de-escalation talks. China has successfully landed a spacecraft on Mars. The state media announced today the 6-wheeled Zhurong robot was targeting Utopia Planitia, a vast terrain in the planet's northern hemisphere. The vehicle used a combination of a protective capsule, a parachute and a rocket platform to make the descent. The successful touchdown is a remarkable achievement given the difficult nature of the task. Only the Americans have really mastered landing on Mars until now. Russia's Roscosmos space agency said Russia has picked 4 people to serve as non-professional crew members and actors in what is planned to be the first movie to be shot in outer space. Some of them are scheduled to be launched on a Soyuz MS-19 craft on the 5th of October to be delivered to the International Space Station, which orbits Earth at an altitude of about 354 kilometers. A US envoy has arrived in Tel Aviv for de-escalation talks as tensions between Israel and Palestine continue. Hadi Amir will take part in talks with Israeli, Palestinian and UN officials in the hope of agreeing on a ceasefire. Earlier today, Israel conducted airstrikes in Gaza and Palestinian militants responding by firing rockets into Israel. The clashes recorded over the past 5 days mark some of the worst violence in the region in years. Back to the headlines of the world news. China lands its Zhurong rover on Mars. Russia picks 4 people for the first movie to be shot in outer space. Israel-Gaza violence. US envoy arrives for de-escalation talks. That concludes this bulletin of world news. On to development news. Sri Lankan Engineering, the engineering and maintenance arm of Sri Lankan Airlines, has entered into a strategic collaboration with UK-based Avansis Aviation to offer maintenance services for the embodiment of passenger-to-freight conversions for Airbus A320 and A330 aircraft. The first output of this collaboration was the conversion of an Airbus A320 aircraft for the operator Fitz Air, which was recently completed on time and within the budget. That's development news. Sports news up next.
Sports news is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie's Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie's Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
It's cricket news. The Sri Lanka team will leave to Bangladesh tomorrow for 3 one-day international series. The first ODI between the 2 teams will be played on the 23rd of this month in Dhaka. All 3 matches will be played as day and night matches. Sri Lankan captain Kusal Janit Pereira said that his team is prepared to give a stiff competition to the Bangladesh team. Several young players will get the opportunity this time. Sri Lanka cricket management head Professor Arjuna De Silva said that the matches will be played in a bio-bubble according to the health protective measures. That's sports news. Business news up next.
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the 2 of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie's Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie's Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
SoftLogic Finance PLC, a subsidiary of SoftLogic Capital PLC, is all set to launch a rights issue to raise over 2.2 billion rupees in a bid to infuse fresh capital for business expansion with a focus on the company's future growth. The rights issue will see 5 new ordinary shares issued for every 6 existing ordinary shares held by shareholders for 10 rupees per new share. That's business news, economic news to follow.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The share of the US dollar reserves held by central banks fell to 59% as its lowest level in 25 years during the fourth quarter of 2020, according to the IMF's currency composition of official foreign exchange reserves survey. Some analysts say this partly reflects the declining role of the US dollar in the global economy in the face of competition from other currencies used by central banks for international transactions. That's economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The Met Department says showers of thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu's, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern and north-central provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in the eastern and Uva provinces during the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls, about 75 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamu province and in the Galle, Matara, Nuwara and Kalutara districts. The wind speed can increase up to 50 kilometers per hour at times over the island. The wind speed can increase up to 60 kilometers per hour, particularly in the northern, north-central and northwestern provinces. That was the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The present rainy weather conditions is expected to improve. Relief measures continue for affected people. Over 7,000 dengue patients have been identified so far this year. The Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation distributes sacks of vegetables to people affected due to the pandemic and floods. China lands its Zhurong rover on Mars. And the Sri Lankan team will leave to Bangladesh tomorrow for 3 one-day international series. That concludes this afternoon's news broadcast, and now it's back to your good friend and mine, and your host for this Saturday afternoon, N.A. Niranjana Besundara. All yours, Niranjan, to entertain our listeners this afternoon.